Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Aspiring Entrepreneur. I'm your host Hamza Chowdhury. It's our daily recap. It's Friday, April 16, 2021. Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you guys had a wonderful trading day and a trading week. I hope you guys have some exciting plans for the weekend. As always, guys, I wish you the best of luck trading. And in this daily recap video, we basically go over some of the stocks that we cover on our Sunday channel. And that this week, it's going to be Apple, Tesla, Palantir, Clover Health, Spce, and AI. With that said, guys, as always, I appreciate your support. So if you do enjoy this video, feel free to hit the like and subscribe button to this channel. As always, guys, we're a 100% free content channel. So guys, it was an interesting day. Today for Apple, we were basically, down 34 cents. It was down just 1/4%. It felt like a really flat day. Thought today we were going to kind of sell off, but obviously there were monthly options that were expiring. And so with Apple, we talked about the 135 obviously clearly being a clear top for the stock. And I mentioned to you guys, if you are adding to a long position to be, cashing out majority of your profits up at the 135, but also, looking to dip buy down here, okay, where we broke out initially, which was the breakout around 127.50. And so you can see now that the 50-day is starting to flatten out and the 20-day is sort of catching up. You can see that these are going to start coming up. And so we're now, we've been the last few days bullish on Apple. And so really this is where I want to trade if I'm looking to add to a position. And so if I'm selling, half of my position or 3/4 of a position, you had a solid buy here close to the 200-day at 117.50, 117.80, and now you can sell your shares here and again just dip buy and plan to pick it up. But clearly it's having issues here. We've had 4 days and we've just been unable to break this top here, okay? And so just keep that in mind and manage your risk because we could be potentially retracing in the market, okay, because we are trading at all-time highs. Tesla is no different. It looks like we did a gap fill here at 780, 775. And so that was, a solid move this week. Mentioned to you guys, if you were able to add positions, we had a higher low here and here. And so really what we see in the Tesla is this top that we had mentioned back here was finally broken off, and so we sort of just broke through it, and then of course we just faded off that day, and now we're sort of consolidating. And so same idea, guys, is we got down to 720, which was a great dip buy. But again, the 710, the 715, if it comes next week, definitely this is a good area to pick up some shares. Keep in mind, mark this on your calendars, we have earnings coming up on Monday, so basically in 10 days. And so this is going to be a real interesting earnings report because we can see if we're going to be able to get back at all-time highs, if we're going to make new highs. It's going to be everyone's guess. And so just sort of leading up to that, it'd be interesting to kind of see how this stock trades. But right now we're trading in an upper trend, and so I'm not necessarily worried about the stock. We've reclaimed a lot of the losses that we had in this massive move where we were trading close to 900 down as low as 550 bucks. Okay, and so we've gotten $200 off of that low from just a month ago. And so Tesla's a solid stock guy, but that's the thing I would be looking for, okay? And so, look for that 710, 715 if it does come. If it does end up consolidating and holding, then we can continue to see momentum, because as you can see, I mentioned on the RSI, so we were jumping up similar to Apple, right? On the daily RSI, we were simply just jumping up really quick to overbought, okay? And we want a stock to hold levels, and we want it to continue. And so with Tesla, it basically held, and it didn't really hold the level, and it sold off, and now it's holding the low, the 720s, the 730s, okay? Palantir, definitely the weaker of the stock. It's the same kind of idea. I think we do have this gap fill here. That's what I've been waiting for. That is my near-term price target. And May 7th, I believe, mid next month is going to be the earnings. And so I definitely can see this play here in the next 2 to 3 weeks as a fill here at 31.50, and that's where I would probably sell my shares. And the same kind of idea, as you can see, is that we had this retrace, a clear top when we faded, and then we had this bottom, and then we tested the bottom. We ended up making new lows when we had that market correction. And then we, of course, thought this could have been a reversal, right? So we had 27.50, a clear resistance, strong resistance that we've identified. And then we had this higher low, and then we just couldn't get back up to that 27.50. And so we haven't been able to do it. And every time we hit the 50, it's been resistance, okay? And so this yellow line represents the 50-day resistance, and so the 50-day average, excuse me. And so now that it's acting as resistance, now we're looking at possibly getting back down here to the lows of back at the 21. And so it's been a really weak stock, guys, and I'm still waiting for that breakout, but I'm still confident with all of the things that Palantir has, all of the contracts, everything that it has going for it. I'm pretty sure that the stock's gonna, come back. It's trading really at a major discount. You can see that the volume hasn't been as big. You can feel definitely when it's heavy, that it definitely can move like it did back here. And we just didn't get that with the double click day. I was a little disappointed. I thought we'd get a little more action. It seemed like it really didn't affect the stock at all. All we did was get that quick movement in the morning right at the 2620. And so just stay tuned. If you're along, you can, like I mentioned before, you could sell calls, and as you sort of wait for this move. But that's what I would be doing, is just selling calls out of the money. And so that way, when it does come, you can sell, or you can get called away, depending on if you're in the money or out of the money. Okay. And so again, it's been a disappointing stock. I'm not going to lie. It's been, definitely a lot. I would have never expected, if you asked me back here, will Palantir ever go back to 22, which is an area I got when this Hindenburg report first came out and said it was, sort of overbought, and it ended up bouncing off of that level. And so we've been stuck there for a long time. Clover is probably the most exciting stock to talk to you guys about today. If you watch yesterday's recap video, we talked about how the buyers were in the trade, and they definitely were in the trade. They have been in the trade. And so we had this solid bottom. Something else that we've discussed on this channel is we had the solid bottom here that we called out at $7. And it was really crazy that we got 723 today, and then we had this massive volume. And you guys can remember the other day when I mentioned that we had this engulfing candle, which sort of took over the previous candles. And I mentioned to you guys, now this is definitely where the reversal is. And then we said that under low volume, we sort of faded off back to where we started. And right when that sort of happened today, we just ended up, superseding that volume. I remember just sort of watching it, and it was just so heavy. I mean, you guys, I know if you watch this channel and you trade during the day, you know what feeling's heavy. And if you saw the level 2, it was just the amount of volume that this thing had was just incredible. And so you can see here, right, that look at the volume was 247 million shares traded on a stock that trades an average of 37. And you can see back here, a lot of these days, there was nothing happening. And so you had a major day, and this is where the buyers were. They pushed the stock up. I thought we'd actually get up to 1050. I ended up now exiting my shares at 10 even. And so we got pretty high. We got pretty close, but then it ended up just fading on the second attempt. When it went up to 10, it was amazing, because what they did, if you were watching the tape, is they basically squeezed everybody out, or they actually got all the orders filled at 10. They ramped it up to 1001, 1002, 1003. And then what they did is they knew that a lot of people like to buy at the bid at like the evens, at the 10s. And so if you bought along at 10 or 1001, 1002, you got filled, and then they just dropped it. And so if you look at it, let's go to a 1 minute chart. If you look at it, look what they did as soon as they got right up to 1003, right? So here's a double top, there's 1003. Look what they did the next minute. This is the candle that's engulfing the previous candle, right? So this is a bearish candle. And so they squeezed and then they dropped. And so look at that high volume. And so this was the time definitely to get out of the trade. So I actually got out again at 10, which was great. It ended up being the top. I mentioned to you guys the other day that I held through the 950 in the pre-market, and I told you my goal was, anything north of 10. Closer to 1050 would have been ideal, but you can see we faded down. We found a bottom here, and so definitely pay attention to that. We found a bottom here at 830, and now we're bouncing off of that. And so it was a great trade, guys. Hopefully some of you guys were able to capture that. Hopefully you added to your position on the some of the weakness that the stock had back here when it was trading, closer to $6 or $7. But it was just a great trade, and I was very happy with it. And so it ended up working out really well, and hopefully you guys got that move. I mean, it was just a weak stock, and it just finally just came through. And so we'll see what kind of happens, but the long wick tells me there's a lot of rejection. It traded under the 50. And so most likely, let's see what this wants to do. But I thought, we could probably get higher, closer to the 200 days at 11. So it'd be kind of interesting to see how this plays. But you can see, guys, the buyers were in this trade the whole time. And when they're ready to pump it up, they turn it on. Okay. Spce, Virgin Galactic, it was, same ideas. It's now consolidating below the 200-day. Not necessarily too worried about the stock. I mentioned that the bad news from Rich Branson had come out, that he had sold 150 million worth of shares. And so, the news came out, but, let it consolidate, let it hold. And this is a great buying opportunity to add to an existing position. I mentioned I added some shares right at the 200-day, and then we ended up getting the news yesterday. And so obviously you can't predict the news, and it is what it is. And so it's a great dip buy for a stock that, has a lot of potential and is still uptrending. And so definitely I'd be picking up shares if you want. If you're interested, and like I said, definitely looking to, at least at the minimum in the next week, get retraced back to the 200-day around 26. And then the last stock that I like to cover, the other day we felt, that AI is making presence in Japan. Won a contract. I mentioned the reversal. I showed you guys. I compared this stock compared to Dash and some of the other stocks. We've been doing sort of overlays to understand some of the behaviors. And so with AI getting new contracts, it's the same idea as they had a catalyst to sort of drive the stock. And so you can kind of see what happens, right? Similar to Clover, is you get these spikes and then you sort of get these fades. And so that's what happens with a lot of these stocks is the buyers are in and then they just tend to fade and they want you to sell your shares and then they essentially ramp it up. And in this case, we're talking about a 50-day that's right under $100, and we're trading, right down here at 67. And so same idea, guys. I think we have a solid bottom here. Same idea. Like a lot of the stocks, we've created a good floor here around $60. And so anything that we're buying in this area, we can just wait for that ramp up. And I think the buyers are same thing. They're in this trade. Okay. And so I definitely would expect us to start getting back into this 50-day. Okay. And so with that said, guys, that's pretty much all of it. It's Friday, so it's time to enjoy the weekend. And I wish you guys the best of luck, and I will see you guys on Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye.